Scott Perry, Republican of Pennsylvania. Congressman Perry, this is a tough one, but would you support the authorization for use of military force against ISIS as it's been written today by the president?
Well, I don't know if I'd support it as written, Chris, but I certainly think it's time to update the authorization of the use of force. I don't think they were ever meant to go into perpetuity forever, as it seems they have. So I do support a authorization of a use of force, but I have questions, and I think many Republicans and Democrats have legitimate questions. And I think the president even kind of implied that that was going to be the case. We're going to have a responsible conversation about the use of force and actually make it better. So with that, that's kind of my position at this point.
Well, he seemed to build a wall on his leopard side, his dovish side, by telling the doves, look, it's not going to be an enduring combat operation.
Right.
Do you have some concern on the other side, that on the Republican or conservative side, that there's not enough stretch to this thing and not enough brand width to get something done?
Yeah, I think there is some question about the term enduring. You know, what does that mean? And to some people, it means it's a limitation. To others, it means it could be wide open, and it leaves it up to conjecture. And from my standpoint, while we're looking at ISIS, what about Khorasan? And what about Boko Haram? And what about AUMF? And all these different disparate groups that, you know, today it's ISIS, but tomorrow it's going to be somebody else. And so is it too limiting? This is an ideology. You know, it transcends borders.
I agree. But they still have the 2001 document he's not going to get rid of, which is pretty inclusive, isn't it, according to your concerns?
That's exactly right. And quite honestly, the president had already said he's got the Article 2 power. So maybe this isn't unnecessary at all. But, you know,
I think that's a good point. I bet he'd argue that point if he has to.
Well, I agree. I think he would argue it, and I think he's already said it. So that, you know, I think he's coming to the Congress for validation. And, you know, listen, I think this is an appropriate discussion to have, but I don't necessarily believe that what he sent is ready for prime time, and Congress has to do its part.
Well, let's look at it here. The speaker had today, he had to say about the president's strategy or lack thereof to defeat ISIS. So far, I seem to not believe there is such a strategy. This is a good argument. I want you to respond to what the speaker says. Let's watch.
Okay.
I believe that if we're going to authorize the use of military force, the president should have all the tools necessary to win the fight that we're in. And so, as you've heard me say over the last number of months, I'm not sure that the strategy that's been outlined will accomplish the mission the president says he wants to accomplish. And his point, the president's point, is that he wants to dismantle and destroy ISIS. I haven't seen a strategy yet that I think will accomplish it.
Congressman, same question I asked Senator Manchin of Virginia. How do you connect our hatred of what these people have been doing to their prisoners over there, burning somebody alive, a good soldier, killing one of the American women, whatever way they did it, they killed her, and yet we're limiting ourselves to helping the Jordanian Air Force, maybe helping what there is of the Iraqi army, helping the Kurds as always, maybe having the Free Syrian Army somehow get equipped to fight and trained. But it doesn't seem like our emotions are backed up by our actions. It doesn't seem to be enough there. My thinking. Yours. What are yours?
My thoughts exactly. With all due respect to the speaker, I think what we see from the president is some aspirational goals, right? An objective. We want to defeat ISIS. We want to destroy ISIS. But that's not a strategy. That's where you want to end up. But he hasn't laid out the points about how we get there. He hasn't talked about the financial implications, the diplomatic implications, how we get the other nations in the neighborhood, get their soldiers, get their lives engaged and involved, because they have the most to lose. That's what a strategy includes, and quite honestly, we haven't seen that from the president on the greater issue of terrorism, of ISIS, or on Syria, which is right next door. What happens when we're done with ISIS and we end up in Syria with Assad? What's the plan?
And you're a military man, right?
I served in Iraq, yes, sir.
I know that. That's why I want you to say so. Thank you for service, sir. Anyway, United States Congressman Scott